Hello, one and all, and welcome to the podcast we call the Fantastival with myself, Steve Nussbaum. In the podcast, where I invite my guests to come on, talk to me all about their musical taste, their memories, their experiences, and they get to collate their fantasy festivals, which I have christened Fantastivals. I hope everyone is doing well as we now enter July. The sun's been out, been lovely weather, and how good was Glastonbury last week? Whether you were there, whether you're watching it on TV, there were some amazing performances, so I hope however you saw it or however you consumed it, you enjoyed it. It was amazing to watch from the comfort of my own home, and I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend watching that. It was really special to watch so many great acts produce so much great music, and the energy around it seemed really positive. That was so special. So before we start with this one, just want to say a massive thank you to my last guest. So thanks to Diana Tenuto, all the way from Chicago. She was my last guest in episode 131, an absolutely wonderful guest, wonderful lady, pioneer of new music, had an amazing fantasy festival lineup. So if you've not listened to that one, please go back and do so. That was 131, but this is all about 132. And this week, I'm still staying away from the UK. I'm going even further out than the US. So I've been to Pennsylvania, I've been to Chicago, and this week I'm going to Costa Rica, believe it or not. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce these two guests. They are from the superb band who I'm sure you've heard of, but you may not have. They are from the awesome Las Robertas, and I hope I can say their surname correctly. It's Mercedes and Felipe Oller.
Yes, right on. Hi.
Yeah, I got it. Amazing. Guys,
how are you guys?
I'm all good. I'm so delighted to have you on the podcast. Your recent album, Love Is the Answer, is one of my favourite albums of the year. It's so special. I'm looking forward to talking all about that. But before we do, I always like to ask my guests how they are from a mental health perspective. It's been a bonkers 3 or 4 years. We've had lockdowns, we've had COVID. So I always like to check in with everyone, make sure everyone's all right. So Mercedes, so Felipe, how you doing?
We're great. I think COVID affected everyone in different aspects, but we just returned from our European tour. So that kind of, I don't know, like it was like a gift / I don't know, like reward because of being in lockdown, and you know we couldn't go touring, and yeah, so I just feel that things started up to work again like before. So yeah, I'm pretty happy and wanting more more music related stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. It was hard. COVID was really hard for us. Well, for everyone.
Yeah.
Art section, musicians, no live shows. But I think we used the time of lockdown for making music, and it was good. We made this album, Love Is the Answer. So it was a productive lockdown for us.
Yes.
Now we're seeing the results of our job during the COVID. So yeah, we're happy about it.
Yeah.
Excited.
Absolutely, as you should be. So, brother and sister. So, musical background in musical family?
Yeah, actually, well, our dad, he's like really into music, and he plays guitar, and we always grew up with, you know, amps and guitars and gear in our house since we were kids. And also our mom, she knows how to play classical guitar, so yeah, that as well. And our dad, he always played us music when we were kids, like, this is really cool. No, that is shitty, or that is blah, blah. So we were kind of like musically raised by him, if you could say that.
Yeah.
Way. Yeah. And my mom, she taught us how to play like the main power chords in acoustic guitar. And then I think by curiosity and just like love of music, both of us, we started to play our instruments, right? Yeah.
So Felipe, how did you get into playing the bass? Because I'm always interested in a bass player's journey, because they always seem like a different breed, the bass player. So how did you get to play the bass?
Yeah, it was kind of luck. I knew how to play like the basic chords in guitar, and I actually never continued. When I learned probably when I was like 14, 15, and then I didn't actually continue playing that much. Then I had these friends that had a band, and they invited me to their rehearsal room, when I was like 17, 18. One day I just got the bass like for jamming and playing, and I really liked it. And I continued, and then I bought one used bass, and I've never stopped playing. Yeah.
And I guess your paths are obviously entwined because you're in the same band, a great band. But was that always the plan? Were you always like close at home and jamming with one another, or has that kind of happened as you've got older and more mature?
Yeah, I played in several bands before. I always have my other bands, and I've never wanted to step up in Mercedes band because that's her project. And yeah, we grew old, and yeah.
You're not old.
Yeah, well, older. Yeah. and I think it was 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we started playing together. So yeah, we have like careers, music careers in separate ways.
Yeah, but he also like he was always part of the band. You know, like he wasn't playing in the band, but he helped us. Like he tour managed us once, and then he has been like stage assistant in every single show. So I mean, we've always been super close, but we didn't play in the same band, right? But he was always part of the band. You know, like so yeah. So he helped us out with like stage tech and
with everything.
Yeah, exactly, with everything. Even tour managing, like driving a van. He even traveled with the band once to Colombia that we played a festival. So yeah, and then we started to make even music together, and it made more sense. It was like, what? These are great songs. Like, why we didn't do it together before? And yeah, it's pretty cool and pretty easy because it's like, touring with your family or like working with your family. Sometimes people think it's complicated, but I think it's the opposite for us because I feel very secure and safe, like having him and my husband in the band, it's like, and best friends in the band as well, like the other two members. So it's like, it feels very natural, not only, making music with him, but also like working together as a band. But we have all of this confidence that I think it's pretty cool.
And obviously you had albums out, I guess, before the last one. So the albums started like in 2010. So that was kind of you, and then you've obviously led Las Robertas to kind of where they are now in Mercedes.
Correctly, yes. And also Fabricio, who's a drummer. He has been in the band since we had a first drummer, but he went out of the band because he went to study to Spain. Actually, so Fabricio, he was already my best friend. Fabricio is my best friend, and we played in a band together when we were younger. Like I was 17 years old. It was our first band, and then he came to every show, and he's an amazing drummer. He knew all of the songs, and I was like, hey, like drummer is leaving, and he was like, I'm in, and yeah, so he's been in the band since early days as well. So I think he's more than a friend. He's a family member as well. He was my best man in my wedding. So yeah, though, like we all know each other from ages. And Daniela, keyboards and percussions and guitars. She went to high school with Felipe. Yeah. So I've known her since she's 14 years old. So yeah, it's very cool.
It sounds like a very close and tight-knit group you've got within the group, which is always a good thing to have. So I've spoken about Love Is The Answer. That was released earlier in this year. So I guess, how was the process of that? It seems like Felipe, again, correct me if I'm wrong, this is his first kind of contribution as a musician to the band. And obviously you had Owen Morris, right, who's well known in the UK for his work with, I guess, primarily Oasis. And then when I first heard you and they were like, oh, this is a Costa Rican band, but were produced by Owen Morris, I was like, wow, how did that come around? So I guess tell us about the album and how the relationship with Owen came around.
Well, I think, the songs were already in process before we met Owen. Like we were writing the songs. We were going to record a new album, right? With or without Owen. We didn't know we were working with him actually. But yeah, actually our relationship with Owen dates even years back, I think, because Diane, his wife, he sent me a message on Facebook like, hey, my name is Diane. I'm moving to Costa Rica eventually, but me and my husband, Owen, we looked in the internet and we found your band and we loved it and would love to meet you when we're there, blah, blah, blah. And because we don't know people around, and we were like, yeah, okay. So we had a show in 2019, like an art gallery. It was like an acoustic set, and they were here. And I was like, hey, if you guys want to come, you're invited. So we met Owen there and Diane, and then we became friends very fast. And Owen stayed here. She went back to the UK so they can like work on their move to Costa Rica, right? Because they had to like move everything to Costa Rica. So Owen was here and we hung out with him like every weekend and we became friends. And then he said like, I want to work on your new album. And we were like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
but yeah.
I remember it was like, I want to work in the album. I was like, well, that's super expensive, so it's not going to happen. That's impossible for us.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks over here.
Yeah, and he was like, no. We'll work it out. It doesn't matter. I just want to do it. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah.
I guess when you get someone who's excited about the music, the money almost becomes secondary to them, right? And that's a massive compliment on you guys that he was just so involved in it and so into it.
Yeah. It was like a fucking movie, you know, for us. Yeah, because we grew up listening to all the bands that he worked, and it was at first it was like fuck, we're dreaming, but then we got used to it. we knew him a lot, so we were like, okay, it's just
he's like, I think it's like I mean I can speak for everyone in the band, but I think he's like our family member too. You know, like he's like an uncle or something. Well, no, like an uncle. No, he will kill me if he's doing that. But but he's like family for us. So as Diane, and we celebrate birthdays together, everything. And and he really likes our music. And I think, well, he once told me like, I hate bands. You know, like I really hate bands, but the only band I'm listening to right now is Velvet Underground. And you guys kind of like remind me to a Velvet Underground kind of like thing, because we played this semi-acoustic set, right, show, and it was like everyone was wearing like, I don't know, like I was wearing my, like I look like Nico, like that thing, and he told me like, you look like Nico, and I'm like, well, thank you. But yeah, so he's extremely funny, so we bonded a lot with him and laugh, and I still laugh. He's extremely funny. And so we're very grateful for his work, and I think we've learned a lot, you know, like by working with him, we've learned a lot as musicians, and I can speak for everyone in the band, you know, like not being afraid of making our songs longer, or like he's like, what, that's so short, like repeat that chorus or repeat that, and we're like, okay. So I think now we're less afraid to express ourselves as musicians through our music and songs. And he's very strict too, so I think we learned a lot. and we don't get angry or anything. If he says something, it's straight shit. I don't know if we can curse, but
yeah, you can curse. I should have said you can curse all you want, so don't feel that you can't.
Sometimes he was like, what is that shit? What is that shit song?
Sounds like shit.
Sounds like shit. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's like you learn a lot, and you also learn, I don't know, to not get offended with, I don't know, but we didn't get offended with him. It was like, we were more grateful than anything, I think. And it was for the best, you know, like, so yeah, we love Owen. Yeah.
So it seems to me that the album's been a big success. Love is the answer. Obviously, it's I've heard through word of mouth in the UK, and a lot of people I speak to have heard it as well. I mean, have you been surprised by the success and I guess the reach of that album?
Yes. I the thing is that I never expect anything. You know, like I can love the record. I can feel very proud of my work in the album, of their work in the album, but I never expect anything. So if something happens and the album gets attention or it gets liked, it's like, whoa, like, you know, I think the best advice that I can give to musicians is to live without expectations, because, you know, it's like, well, I don't care if people like it or not, but we like it, we feel satisfied, so that's enough. And so it's been pretty cool. I think the response from everyone, and it's flattering as well. But yeah,
And in terms of live dates to support the album, so you've just come back from a European tour, right? How was that? How was the tour?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. It's
really good.
It was very fun. We had like almost every day it was a sold out show. So it was extremely, I don't know, like overwhelming for us, like, wow, there's people like coming to our show, like making a line because back home, we don't get a lot of people coming to our shows because the type of music that we play back home, it's not that popular or, so getting out of Costa Rica and experimenting like new audiences and stuff, it's extremely cool. And also like different age groups going to our shows, like young people, and then people like our dad or like Owen or like our age. So it was pretty cool because a lot of people came to our shows, like older crowds. They were like, oh, you guys remind me to like when I was young and I went to shows and I saw like the Charlatans and all of these bands. And we're like, wow, that's like super compliment. And we even partied with some of those older crews.
Old folks.
Our favorite. Definitely. It was extremely nice.
So there was no, unfortunately on this tour, there was no UK dates, but maybe we're saying hopefully in the near future, hopefully Las Robertas can come over to the UK.
Yes, we're actually starting to work in that, because it's something that we really want to do. Our label wants to do. And because of the fans that I'm telling you about. So yeah, hopefully in this like month or two, we will get like a response or something to see what we can do about it. But yeah, we want to do a UK tour, just like going to the UK, coming back home to Costa Rica. But yeah, we will make it happen. So I'm like manifesting it right now. But yeah, we really want to go.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. Fingers crossed it can happen. I think that would be amazing. So you mentioned earlier that your music isn't like most other Costa Rican music. So I guess in terms of like both of your musical tastes what music are you both into? What do you like? Who are your favorite acts without, I guess, spoiling your fantasy festival for later?
I can, like probably one of the bands that everyone loves in the band. It's the Brian Johnson Massacre. I think it's a huge influence for everyone in the band. We are huge fans. And also Oasis, also, a lot of 90s alternative rock music that we all grew up listening to, like the Pixies, the Breeders, Smashing Pumpkins, all of that alternative part of the 90s. But yeah, we also love shoegaze and indie pop and also Latin stuff, like garage, psychedelia, even salsa, cumbia, stuff like that. Like our bass and rhythm section, Fabricio and Felipe, they love Latin sounds. Yeah. So I think it's something that you can probably notice in some of our rhythm section. But yeah, I think it's a mixture of things. But yeah, I think those are basically our main influences.
And is there anything at the moment that you're listening to, whether that's new or old? So what you listening to at the moment? What's on in the studio or in the household?
Well, I've been listening probably, I don't know. It's because I'm sad, and when I'm sad, I'm sad because of returning back from tour. And it was a great tour. So I've been really sad and kind of like depressed. So when I'm like sad, I listen to Slow Dive every day. So that's what I've been listening to since we came back on tour. I mean, I love them, but I listen to Slow Dive the most when I'm the saddest. So yeah, I'm listening to a lot of Slow Dive. And yeah, I think that's, and you?
I'm in love now. So I'm listening to a lot of Cocteau Twins, like Beach House, like beautiful music. So yeah.
So nice vibe going on. I guess two different sides with a sad and then Felipe skipping around the house while you're listening to.
Yeah.
Let me
still showgaze, but I'm like just post-tour depressed, and he's in love. So but beautiful music at the end.
It's going to be an interesting next album then. Half really down and the other half absolutely flying through.
Yeah, well, actually, I've been writing a lot of music. Since we came back, because I feel motivated, and me and my husband Russell, he's the lead guitar player. we write a lot of music together. So we've been playing like everyday stuff. And I can say maybe that, yeah, this album is going to be a little more Brit than the rest. But yeah, I think it's going to be cool. We're excited to work on this upcoming record. We're actually working it with Owen, this new album as well. So yeah, let's see what happens. But still, we have a lot of work to do before getting into the studio and all of that. But yeah, we're pretty motivated.
Sounds promising. Sounds really exciting. And I'm sure many people listening will be really excited by what you've just said. So I always like to take my guests back in time and find out what they bought for their first record or their first single. Do you remember what you bought for your first record or your single and what they were? And there's no embarrassing records on this, right? So it's 100% honesty, transparency. We're all friends on the podcast. So
what was my first record that I bought?
Yeah.
It was it's really cool actually. It was Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt. It was my first CD that I bought with my saved money, and I was a huge fan of Gwen Stefani and No Doubt. I think every single 90s girl, if they liked rock music, they loved No Doubt. So yeah, it was my first album.
And I had it's very different. I bought Pearl Jam's 10. Yeah, that was the first album that I bought with my money.
That's great. The guests in the show 2 shows ago also bought Pearl Jam 10 for their first album. So cool album. I'm obviously getting on the right guests. So that's really good to hear. So I think earlier, Mercedes, you mentioned that you'd played like a few festivals. Are you big festival fans? Do you get to go to many? I guess when I was reading up on you, you've played an awful amount of quite big festivals as well.
Yeah, I think I like to play festivals. You know, I don't like to attend festivals because I'm not a big party person. I honestly love to play music and stuff, but big crowds make me a little anxious. But yeah, I love to play festivals, and because of playing a festival, you can have like access to certain areas to watch the bands that you like, and you know, it's cleaner bathrooms, etc. areas to rest. But yeah, I'm not a big party festival goer kind of person. I love music, but if I'm gonna watch a band that I like, I prefer to go to the venue and watch them, because festivals, you know, every time that we play a festival and then we see like the cell phone, like kilometers we walked, it's like walking 13 kilometers a day. It's insane how tired you get. I like to stay home. I'm like a very chilled person, and I like to be home and watch TV and.
No, and the other thing is that in Costa Rica, we don't have that much festivals. Mm-hmm. So we didn't grow up with that culture. Mm-hmm. So, and now that we're older, if you want to go to a festival, like attendance, you need to buy a ticket to another country. So it's super expensive to go to festivals that we like. So yeah, we don't go as much. We just, when we get invited to play in them, we play. We go to the festival.
we play them and we go to the festival.
It's super expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Really expensive. Yeah, like the nearest place that you can go to festivals is actually Mexico City, or Bogota in Colombia, right? So yeah, no, I mean, if we go to a festival, it's probably because we're going to play it, or maybe we're in Mexico City on tour, and then there's this festival happening, our friends are playing, so we go there. So yeah, that has happened before as well. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, if I would have the option of going to festivals every weekend, I probably won't go, because
I would.
Yeah, he would. But I'm a very home kind of person. I like to stay at home and relax and sleep early, etc. So yeah.
That's what I enjoyed about Glastonbury, because over here it's on live on the BBC, so you can watch it as it's happening, and I could do that from my sofa as opposed to from the actual field. So
yeah,
I was
in
very happy.
You have to camp, right?
Yeah, 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not
both,
for me.
Both shaking their heads, isn't it? And what about gigs, guys? Do you have like a favourite gig that you've been to? Is there one that stands out for you? And this could be as the band, or this can be as you watching the music in front of you. Do you have a favourite gig?
In my case, I think it would be when I saw Jesus and Mary Chain in Levitation 2015. We played Levitation 2015, and Jesus and Mary Chain were playing Psycho Candy. So I think that has been my favorite show that I've been in my life. I cried all their sets. I was voiceless after because I was singing all of the songs, and I was with Fabricio, actually, the drummer, and we were like, wow, like we can't believe it. It was like the best show of our lives. But yeah, I think that's mine. Anna, yours?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't even listen to the band. I discovered the band that day, and it was a calypso band. It was called, ¿cómo se llama? Queen of Calypso. Fuck, it was so good. It was in Coachella.
Calypso Rose.
Calypso Rose is called. She's like an old lady from Dominican Republic.
Yeah, amazing.
And plays Calypso. That was like, I've seen a lot of shows, but that one hit me like a lot. It was a weird one, but it's like, fuck, I think that is my favorite show I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
Wow.
Calypso Rose. Cool.
Great stuff. Amazing. I guess that's the benefit of a festival, right? You can go and see someone who you might be a bit on the fence about, and then they can absolutely transport you to somewhere else.
It was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I was there with him, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
It was like a grandma singing calypso, but she had the greatest energy you've seen, and the musicians she had, the songs, the vibe, everything was amazing. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Great stuff. So you've already mentioned some great acts. I think we're going to mention a few more. So like I said at the start of the podcast, this is all about getting our guests to collate their fantasy festival. So Felipe and Mercedes, you get to choose 5 acts, one who must play one of their albums in full, and you also get to pick an encore, which all of your acts can play together at the end of your fantasy festival. So very simple. So for anyone listening to this for the first time, 5 acts, 5 time slots. So in the last episode, I had Diana Tenuto. She is in Chicago, so she created her City by the Lake Shake Fantasy Festival, and she had in her opening slot had Seagulls, who are a UK band. Super Seconds, she went for Creedence Clearwater Revival. Midway Madness, she went for Kings of Leon. First time Kings of Leon had been chosen on the podcast. For her pre-headline act, she picked Foo Fighters, which was a great shout. And for her headline act, she picked the Smashing Pumpkins, and for them to play Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. So
amazing.
For anyone listening, it's that simple, a very simple concept. And for her final song, for her encore, she had all of her 5 acts play Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins, which has got a reference in it to Chicago. So she was an amazing guest. That was an amazing episode. Great fantasy festival. And before we talk about the acts for you, first of all, guys, we need to give your fantasy festival a name, and we need to give it a venue. So guys, what are you going to call your fantasy festival?
It's called La Onda.
La Onda, okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means the wave.
The wave, okay. I like it. And we can hold La Onda anywhere. We can hold it in Costa Rica. We can hold it in the UK. We can go to Barcelona if you want to go to Barcelona. Anywhere you two want to hold this festival, you can hold it anywhere you like. So where are you going to hold your fantasy festival?
It's going to be in the mountains of the Boas volcano in Costa Rica. It's going to be an outdoors festival in the mountains. It's a really beautiful area around Costa Rica where this volcano is at. And it's like a forest. It's forest. And so, I imagined this outdoors festival. But it's called La Onda, which means the wave. And it's because one of the bands are playing the record, and the record is called La Onda, off the band's name.
Okay.
But it's actually because of that, the name.
Great name. I love it. So we're going to Costa Rica for the first time. I think we're holding a fantasy festival in Costa Rica. Yeah. So lovely to come to your country. It'd be amazing. And before we talk about your 5 acts, I always like to ask my guests if they've got any other acts who they love but just aren't able to make it into that 5, because 5 is only a small number. And I think it's always nice to have a small number for your fantasy festival. So any acts, guys, who you love but aren't making it into your fantasy festival lineup?
Okay, so the missed acts are going to be the Brian Johnson Massacre, the Jesus and Mary Chain, 13th Floor Elevators, Los Duk Duks, which is a garage band from Mexico, very cool, from the 70s, 80s. The Charlatans, Massey Star, Smashing Pumpkins, Cocteau Twins, and Slow Dive. Those are the missed acts, but we love them, and we want them to be in the festival too, but it was very hard. But they are the ones, I mean, I hope they could get in, but it was very hard to just pick 5, but yeah.
Yeah, That's the beauty of the podcast. Only 5. So Smashing Pumpkins headlined last week. They can wait another week. The Charlatans got selected recently for their first time. Brian Jonestown Massacre have been... Anton Newcomb's been picked before to play with Tess Parks. So he's been picked before. And I had the Magic Mod on a couple of weeks ago, and he recently supported the Brian Jonestown Massacre and was absolutely buzzing off the back of that. So some really good acts missing out. But it's 2:00 now. The mountains of the Boas volcano. It's a lovely day. That's packed out. La Onda, the Wave has sold out. Everyone's having a great day. Time for your first act to step out. Who's going to be your opening act?
The Pastels.
The Pastels?
Yeah.
All right. Tell me about the Pastels, because I don't recognise that name. Tell me about them and why are they going to be your opening act?
The Pastels, it's a UK band, actually. They're like big in the indie pop scene, C86 scene. Stephen Pastel is their like leader, and they make like very naive, powerful rock songs, like very, very cool. And I think it was something that it was important for me as a musician. When I started playing music and making songs, I think the Pastels were a big influence. And yeah, I love them. And I think it will be cool if they open the festival and in the mountains. They'll probably feel like home because it's like misty mountains. It's cold, so it's going to be similar to the UK weather at some point. But yeah.
It's going to rain for sure.
It's going to rain, yeah. They're going to be used to it.
It's the fantasy element, so you can control the weather as well, I guess. Or whatever weather you desire at your fantasy festival will give you the power of weather as well, right? So whatever you want to happen, if you want it to be misty and have a massive atmospheric thing going on with the mist, we can do that. If you want it sunny, if you want it rainy, that's all good. We can have that. All right, so the Pastels are opening your fantasy festival. They get to play from 2 till 3:00. We'll take a half-hour break, and then it'll be time for your Super Seconds act. We're going to play from 3:30 till 4:30. So who's going to be your Super Seconds act?
Our Super Seconds are Elia y Elizabeth.
Okay, another new one on me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's actually that's a very cool sister duo from Colombia from the 70s. They're amazing. They're like a cult band for people who like psychedelic music, mainly Latino people that like psychedelic music. And I think a lot of people and bands like them and have even covered them, like American bands. I know that there's a band called Mystic Braves from California, and they covered one of their songs. But yeah, they're a sister duo, amazing band. And they have this record called La Onda de Elia y Elizabeth. So that's why the festival is being called La Onda, and they're playing their record. So they're playing this record, which is amazing, and you need to listen to it. It has a great mix of Latin sounds with psychedelic sounds, like 12 strings, but with this Latino energy, right? I think they have like this very cool lyrics and melodies that are very own from our culture. So yeah, I think they're an amazing fit for the festival after the Pastels.
Great shout. All right, Super Seconds act. Please tell me if I'm saying any of these acts wrong. So I got Aya Elizabeth, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, playing the album. Playing La Onda. Okay, so they're going to be a Super Seconds act. First time they've been picked on the Fantastival podcast. They're going to play from 3:30 till 4:30. We'll take another half-hour break. That'll take us to 5:00. Time for Midway Madness. So, guys, who are going to be your Midway Madness act?
Yeah, Midway Madness. That's going to be for Lush.
Lush. All right. I know Lush. That's one who I do recognise. First time Lush have been chosen as well on the Fantastival podcast. So, your first 3 acts, all new names on the podcast rota. I love it. Why are Lush gonna be in your fantasy festival?
Well, I think it's cool because it's to keep up the female energy. Elia and Elizabeth. I mean, they're this sister duo, very feminine voices, and then Lush with Mickey Berengi's amazing vocals, but it's a little more rock and like power with the guitars and. So I think it's a great transition to Lush, from Elia Elizabeth to Lush, and we love them. She's a great influence for my songwriting as well, for melodies especially. So yeah, I love Lush, I love Mickey Berengi, and yeah.
Great shout. All right, Lush make their Fantastival debut. They're going to play from 5 till 6 in your Midway Madness slot. Again, one half-hour break to go. then it's time for your pre-headline act. We're going to get an hour and a half. So guys, who's going to be your pre-headline act?
The Dandy Warhols.
Oh, the Dandy Warhols. I don't think the Dandy Warhols have been chosen before either on the Fantastival podcast. So Dandy Warhols, massive in the UK back in the day. Obviously have got that one song, which every time I guess anyone thinks of the Dandy Warhols over here, they transpose it back to the I Like You song. So I guess, guys, why the Dandy Warhols? Why are they going to play your fantasy festival?
I think Dandy Warhols is a really big influence for us.
Yes.
A lot, especially in the last album. So yeah, it's a big band. It's a great band. Energy. Yeah, great energy. I think it's a good band to play at night in Costa Rica. It gets dark at 6, so it will be like the first band at night. Great energy. It's good. Yeah.
Great stuff. All right, the Dandy Warhols are going to make their first Fantastival appearance at your fantasy festival. They're going to play from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, and then we'll take 1 more half-hour break. So 4 acts down, you got 1 act left to go. They're going to play from 8:30 to 11 o'clock. Going to be your headline act. So Mercedes and Felipe, who's going to headline La Onda?
Oasis.
Oasis reunion.
Oasis reunion show.
The first one.
The first one in Costa Rica. Yes.
Amazing. So I guess you mentioned Oasis earlier, and obviously there's the Owen Morris connotation, but I guess why are you going to choose Oasis to be your headline act?
Because we want to, I think every single Oasis fan in the world wants them to play together, right? Back again. So yeah, number 1, because of that. And number 2, because everyone loves Oasis in the band. And I think Oasis, there are a lot of Oasis fans in Costa Rica, so I think a lot of people will go. And yeah, I think they can play so many songs as well. So they have a lot of repertoire to play. And I think they'll be an amazing headliner, like with all of these bands and everything. Yeah.
Are there any songs that they're going to have to play for you in particular? Obviously, they've got such a massive catalogue. They can do 2.5 hours fairly easily. But are there any songs for you that you need them to play at your fantasy festival?
They have to play Colombia for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, we actually covered that song.
Yeah.
It was like every tour we go on tour. Like every time we go on tour, we play a cover. And for this past European tour, we played Colombia by Oasis. And everyone was so happy in the crowd because we always get Oasis fans at our shows. So they were like, yeah, thank you for playing it. But yeah, I think Colombia is my favorite song by them.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Acquiesce. That's one that I can pronounce. Acquiesce.
Yeah.
They have to play that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Playing together, Liam and Noel. Yeah. The chorus and the verse, and yeah, I think it's a pretty song, like brothers song. I hope they get to play it together.
Absolutely, as they should. All right, Oasis, the 11th time they've been chosen for a fantasy festival. So Oasis get to play La Onda and headline, and then they get to bring out at 11 o'clock. They bring back out on stage the Dandy Warhols, Lush, Aya Elizabeth, and the Pastels, and they'll get to play one more song. Now, I'm even going to let them bring out Las Robertas as well. Las Robertas can come out if they want to and play. Up to you. You can be at the back chilling if you want. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. If you want to come out and play as well.
Oh no, we can play it. We can play tambourine with Liam. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just like, no. Like, there's a lot of instruments to play for this song. Actually, when we were making up the lineup and everything, and I was thinking of a song, and I was like, which song could sound amazing, like with all of these amazing musicians of different styles. And then I thought of this song by one of my favorite songs in the world. It's by Status Quo. Do you know that band?
Yes, yeah.
And the song, it's called Pictures of Matchstick Men. And I imagine Liam being the main vocal. Like, I think it would be a great fit for him. And the song is amazing. It has a great lead, and it can have a lot of synthesizers by the Dandy Warhols, and then choruses by the girls, Elia Elizabeth. So I think it could turn out amazing, and it's a great song, I think.
Yeah, it is a great song. I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called Death in Vegas from the 90s. Obviously, they sampled that song and had Liam sing on it and stuff. So that reminds me of them. So that's an absolutely superb lineup. Right, let's lock this in then. So we have got La Onda, which is the wave translation. It's taking place in the mountains of the Boas volcano. In your opening act, we're going to have the Pastels. Super Seconds, we're having Aya Elizabeth. And they're going to play La Onda album in full. Midway Madness, we have Lush. Pre-headline act, we have the Dandy Warhols, and headlining your fantasy festival, we have Oasis, and for your encore, all 5 acts are going to play Pictures of Matchstick Men. Sounds like an amazing fantasy festival to me. Guys, are you happy to lock that one into the Fantastival vaults?
Yes, I mean, I think I would pay whatever I had to pay to go to that festival. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the Death in Vegas song, because I've always loved that song, Scorpio Rising, and I was once in the car, and I think I was with Felipe in the car, and I was like, I don't know why, but this guy, like, he sounds so much like Liam's vocals, like, it's a copycat, like, what the fuck? And then I don't know how did it came, like, on Twitter or something, I saw that it was Liam actually singing to that song, and I'm like, okay, everything makes sense, but I thought it was, like, somebody singing to that song who really was influenced a little more than influenced by Liam Gallagher, but yeah, I love that song actually. Scorpio Rising, that's the name of it.
Yeah, really cool song. I've not heard that. After this, I'm going to have to go and listen to that because I've not heard that in a long time. But when you mentioned that one song, I was like, oh, I remember this. That's a great track. So, guys, before we finish up, then obviously you've had a great kind of first half of 2023. You've obviously released the album. You've done the European tour. I guess we've spoken a bit about kind of what the future holds. But I guess what does the next year or two hold, I guess, ideally for Las Robertas?
We have plans to play in Mexico City and Mexico. We have some plans to play at the end of the year in Mexico. And we'll also play local shows and, of course, the new album. So we are making new music. Hopefully, we're going to start to work on the album soon. I don't know when, but yeah.
All right, and if anyone wants to kind of find you on social media, because that's how kind of I've heard of you, where do people look? What platforms should they go, and what kind of acts? What are your kind of signatures, I guess, on those platforms?
Well, we're mainly on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So Las Robertas, all of the socials. We have a TikTok, but we don't upload a lot of things. But we have to. I know that we have to. But yeah, we have a TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube as well.
Las Robertas,
yeah.
Yeah, well worth checking out if you already don't. So that is it, everyone. Thank you for listening to the 132nd episode of the Fantastival Podcast. And if you've enjoyed this one, you can go and subscribe on iTunes. You can also give the podcast a rating on iTunes. Or if you're listening on Spotify, you can rate the show, and you can also comment on the episode. So if it's the first time you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, please do that. And like Las Robertas, the Fantastival Podcast is also on social media. You can find us on Twitter at FantastivalP, and you can also find us on TikTok, although again, we only put out one post a week about the Fantasy Festival element. So if you are on TikTok, please give us a follow, or you can email us if you're not on either of those sites at fantastivalpodcast@outlook.com. Unfortunately, on this podcast, we don't play any music, but I'll get some tracks from Mercedes and Felipe. We'll make a nice little Spotify playlist of the acts that they've spoken about, and that'll be in your episode description. If you just scroll down, you'll be able to easily find it there. So Mercedes, Felipe, I'm so glad I got you on this podcast. I'm absolutely chuffed. How have you found it?
Thank you for inviting us. It was extremely fun.
Yeah,
and hopefully we'll get to meet you when we play the UK
in person.
Yeah. Absolutely, I hold you to that. So best of luck for the future. I can't wait to see you guys live. I think it'll be absolutely amazing. Keep up the great work, because I think you guys are amazing. So that is it from me, everyone. I'll be back next week with episode number 133. So please make sure to join me. But until then, stay safe, my Fantastival friends. Please continue to spread the word. And that word is Fantastival. Thanks for listening.